If you don't know this dude dressed in a lobster outfit, dear Lord, he cooks. He loves cooking, but you can guess his favorite food. His claim to fame is a 4-foot lobster roll. It was actually two 2-foot lobster rolls in one sitting. He also runs a podcast called Front End Nerdery. Are you going to be back and running on that? Okay, cool. Oh, also, he is dating way out of his league. It is ridiculous. It's almost like a social experiment on her part. Bruh, it's amazing. She's amazing. If you haven't met this young lady, she's amazing. And then he is what you see. Also, you ready for this? A pint. He ingested an entire pint. Nothing decent like gin or vodka or whiskey or even Everclear, right? No. He drank a pint of maple syrup. Believe it or not, though, he's really awesome. He's super smart. He went all the way from the Northeast above Boston all the way to Arizona and dealt with the temperature change. Make a whole lot of noise for the king of accessibility, the awesome Todd Libby.
By default, so if you can hear me, that would be okay. Great. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna do this because wow, this thing's. Now I know what those lobsters feel like when I ate them. They were boiling. Safety and deception. The impact on accessibility. It's early morning. I haven't had coffee. Let's do a little housekeeping before we jump in. I want to thank Kayla and Richard for having me down again this year. It was a solo trip, and I don't see him around here this morning, but I'll get to him in a minute. I want to thank the sponsors, the attendees. Without this, I wouldn't be up here talking, and especially the speakers. Everybody yesterday was amazing. I love to learn new stuff. That's right. Every day, every talk, I try to get into a talk about something that I don't know about so I can learn something, and I learned something yesterday. About me, I kind of fell into a founder role when my amazing girlfriend said she needed an app to do stuff for her job, and there was nothing out there, so I'm building an app. I am a W3C invited expert on the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. It just means that I supposedly know what I'm talking about. I am with the Accessibility Guidelines Working Group, the Accessibility Conformance Testing Task Force and Rules Group. I'm a former accessibility engineer, which means I did a lot of auditing of websites, and there's a lot of pepper left in the salt and pepper. So to save my sanity, I moved back to coding. I'm a former executive head chef, which is why I am a few more pounds heavier than I was last time I'm here. No, I am not Santa Claus. No, I am not the Gorton's Fisherman. If you need to know what the Gorton's Fisherman is, look it up on Google. 1980 is when I started learning basic and scheme programming, so cut my leg off with rings. I've been doing this a long time. I like food, and of course, obviously I love lobster, and I am a free agent web developer for hire. I don't see him, but if you see this guy and this look on his face, call an adult, call a chaperone, call somebody. And I wish he was here to do this. Anyways, I am a dad. My son is 6'8" and says, "You're short," and I feel short. I am also a grandfather of 3, 2 pictured here. My daughter, the other child that I have, is a teacher. These are her amazing children, and my son. Again, I am with the W3C. Any questions anybody has, I can answer them if you'd like to join on a volunteer basis. We're always welcoming people in. Ooh, need my coffee. So, web content accessibility guidelines. That's a really technical document online. I am working on the third version, or WCAG 3. When is WCAG 3 coming out? Well, if you see anybody saying we are going by WCAG 3 guidelines, they're wrong. It's in development. It's experimental so far. So no, they are not on WCAG 3. You're on WCAG 2.2 or 2.1. So the guidelines, we're estimating a 2029, 2030 release of the WCAG 3 guidelines. And right now it's under recommendation. So that's the stage where it's experimental. So that's a little bit about the WCAG guidelines. Still exploratory in the editor's draft. So let's get to the meat of my talk here, and that is deceptive patterns. You probably heard dark patterns, and I'll go into that in a few minutes. But what is a deceptive pattern versus an anti-pattern? Well, in the functionally subgroup that I was in 3 years ago, we came up with some terminology, some definitions. An anti-pattern is an unintentional design or implementation without intent that often leads to a general decline in usability. So if you've ever been on a website and you've, a disabled field or a disabled button on a form, that's an anti-pattern. There's some issues with that disabled button or disabled form field as far as accessibility goes. A deceptive pattern, and you've probably run across it. I can guarantee a lot of you have probably run across something similar to this. A deceptive pattern is a deliberate anti-pattern designed to confuse or deceive a user. So there's some key words here. One being the word force. These patterns force you down a path you don't necessarily want to take. So for instance, oh, you're going to unsubscribe to my newsletter? Oh, gee, we're sad. Are you sure you don't want? Are you sure you want to go? That's kind of forcing you down that path to not unsubscribe. The other key word here is trap. There is a pattern that I will go into called the Roach Motel, where it is designed to trap people so that that organization, that company, can financially gain from you, the user. So in our subgroup for safety and deception, I am the lead in this subgroup. We have 5 outcomes. The WCAG 3 guidelines are going to be a lot different than what you see now if you've ever read the document. So we worked on information privacy, algorithm accessibility, clear agreement and risk statements, obstruction, and the one that I've been working on and doing a lot of research on is avoid deception. Meaning, what is the impact with mental health? What is the impact with neurodiversity? What is the impact on accessibility as a whole? We have, right now, and these are subject to change, there are 4 levels of guidelines that we have, and that is foundational requirements, supplemental requirements, assertions, and best practices. You've probably heard the term best practices a lot in accessibility. Well, that didn't load. Okay. Oh, there we go. Let's try that again. Dark patterns. I want to address this part, like I always do at every talk that I give about deceptive patterns. I don't like this term. It's exclusionary, and there's connotation behind it that I don't agree with. This term was coined in 2010 nobody knew the implications. And the person that coined the term, Harry Brignall, Dr. Harry Brignall, no idea that, the connotation or the meaning behind it. So, myself and some others, I didn't do this on my own, come up with deceptive patterns because I think it's more suited for these patterns that we see. What are some of these patterns, you may ask? So I hope, and I'm going to give a content warning right now, with the current person sitting in the White House, I'm not going either side here. I'm staying right down the middle. I am Switzerland, okay? I'm very neutral on this when I give this talk. But these patterns. This is one pattern you see a lot. This is for financial gain. This is pre-selected check boxes. People lost life savings over these pre-selected check boxes. Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Putting the fear in people and using deceptive patterns for financial gain. It gets worse, much worse. More patterns, more of these deceptive patterns for financial gain. And it's not just politics. It's tech. It's everything you see on the internet practically. How much worse can it get? Much, much worse. This was the first one I found from his 2020 campaign. A pre-selected checkbox with all this. I'm not going to read this. But on the bottom, if you unselect that box, you're not making that monthly recurring donation. But if you read the text above that, he's putting the fear in you to leave that checkbox checked through manipulation and coercion. And it gets worse than that because other people are now copying it. Dr. Oz, does anybody know Dr. Oz? Not personally, but know of him. He did the same thing when he ran for, I believe it was the Senate in Pennsylvania? Yes. How bad can it get? This is the first known recorded deceptive pattern. And this is in 1938, Germany. And if you know history, 1938 Germany wasn't Disneyland. And I don't mean to make light of it, but here you have a voting card. And I think you can all spot the pattern there. Yes is the big circle. No is the smaller circle. If you check that smaller circle, I think we all know where that led to. So, deceptive patterns have been around for a very long time. These are some of the deceptive patterns that are well known. And there are a lot of them. And they are used widely across many platforms, digital spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the technical stuff because I think I've already been Debbie Downer for the morning, and I think we should play a game. Now we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay? Everybody up for it? Okay. Everybody up for it? I know it's the morning, but we're going to defeat deceptive patterns this morning. And here's how we're going to do it. We have our heroes. We have our 5 heroes. And I'm going to go over some examples with you. And those examples are going to be our barrier, the five-headed dragon. Okay? If anybody can guess that dragon's name, I'll give you an accessibility lobster sticker. Anybody know what the dragon's name is? Who? You got a sticker.
What was the name?
Tiamat. Yep. So, Tiamat's our barrier. And I'll get to the really big, bad guy at the end, because I have a bone to pick with, and I've actually talked to this person, so I really don't have a bone to pick, but I've had, we've had a discussion about it, what was done. So, first one, comparison prevention. This is some of the effects comparison prevention has on people. If you've ever seen comparison prevention, in which you probably have, when you sign up for a phone plan online. How many people signed up for their phone plan online? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay. This is an example from T-Mobile years ago. Now, T-Mobile doesn't necessarily do this anymore, but there are other companies that do this. These are the top 3 most expensive tiers you could get at the time, okay? Where's the affordable plan? Can anybody see where that, Correct, yes, down on the bottom. Looks like text with a border around it. If you're not technically savvy, you're not going to know that's a button, right? You click that button, you get this. You get the lowest price tier. They're making it work, which is the deceptive pattern. That's the comparison prevention. We don't want you to know about this, and if you are not tech savvy, you're not going to find this. You're just going to go, oh, well, I don't see any $45 plan. I'm going to go with the $70 plan or the $60 plan. So there's your first deceptive pattern. Confirm shaming. Now, I think, how many of you have signed up for a newsletter and said, you know what, this really isn't? You have got that email when you've unsubscribed saying, please come back. We miss you so much. How many of you have done that? Okay, a few. This is the effects confirm shaming has. Now imagine somebody that is in the throes of depression with mental health issues. This is a psychological jab at that person. This is saying, well, aren't we good enough for you? And there is a case that I read about a few years back about a person who was going through a very bad relationship. And this person was abused. This pushed this person over the edge. I won't go any further into what happened, but I don't want to make anybody assume, but it did not end good. Here's a few that I've run across. You're unsubscribed, bestie. I didn't know we were besties. I like these ones that use the cartoon characters, like the bear crying, or duo with the owl crying. Oh, you're using an ad blocker? Come on. When? Or, no more calls, no more texts, we're breaking up. I didn't know I was in a relationship with your company. And then Code Academy, who I thought really had a great platform, and then they sent me this. Talk to you later, we guess. Broken heart. Disguised ads. Now, I think everybody's seen a disguised ad before. And here are the examples. Well, let me go back first. Here's the effects disguised ads have on people through the research that we've done. And a lot of these patterns have a very huge impact on screen reader users and users of assistive technologies too, which was my main focus at first, and then it branched out even further. I fell down a rabbit hole that I don't know if I could ever climb out of it at this point. But the research has been great, and moving forward into the future, some of the work that I've done will be in the future guidelines to try and mitigate and prevent some of this from happening. Very little impact probably, but we'll see. Here's disguised ads. CNN, okay? That circled last bit of text there is and you probably can't see it. Well, there's an accessibility issue right here with the opacity of that, the color contrast that says content by Lending Tree, who's a mortgage company, I think, right? Refi rates at 2.34% APR, 15 years. Do you qualify? It's not an article, that's an ad. They're trying to bait you. And even on font websites, you go to download a free font, and you see start your download, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna click there, it's gonna start my download. No, it's way up in that box in the upper right-hand corner. That's where you download the font file. And this mess. I went cross-eyed when I saw this. There's a lot there. That is an accessibility nightmare. That's from a coupon website. That is, if I remember correctly, they were in a partnership with Groupon. And of course, you can spot one of the major patterns where it says no thanks, but it doesn't look like a link, doesn't look like a button, it's just text. So you have to be technically savvy to say, oh, I'm going to hover over that to see what happens. So there's your pattern, deceptive pattern. So this one's a big one. Fake scarcity, fake urgency, and fake societal proof. No, that is not some supermodel guy or gal that you're talking to suddenly, all of a sudden, on the internet. There's probably some guy somewhere trying to see if he can scam yet another person. And a quick story personally, my mother came to me and said, do you know who I talked to on Facebook the other day? And I went, who? She goes, Johnny Depp. And I looked at her and I went, I highly doubt it. And sure enough, she started getting messages from this person, and they would not stop. So I had to go in and I had to do all the things to make it stop. And even then, she got hammered with the requests, friend requests, from all these fake profiles. So that's part of that's the fake societal proof. Lots of impact with accessibility here. Here's some of it. So fake scarcity. We only have 3 rooms left at this discounted rate. Hurry before they're all gone. We see that in travel, and we see that in hotel websites. The Hurify there, the one with the magenta gradient sidebar there. And what I mean by fake scarcity or fake timing is you can have a timer, and I'll tell you the easy way to check it to see if it's fake or not. You can go into this backend. They were kicked out of the Shopify plugin store, or whatever it's called, because of this. You can go back and reset the clock. You could have a sale that is only supposed to last one day, and it could last a week if you wanted it to, just by resetting that clock. That's your deceptive pattern. So they were kicked out of the Shopify store. Fake reviews. There was a company, I don't know, how many of you have heard of accessibility overlays? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I won't go into my soapbox rant about those. But their plugin for WordPress was pulled from the WordPress plugin store for fake reviews. Over 300 5-star reviews. Basically what an accessibility overlay is this little button with the accessibility guy icon, right? You click it, this box pops up, and it can help you with everything your accessibility needs are fulfilled. That's bullshit. It's not true. They cause more harm than anything. They create more barriers. So if you want to know more and have any questions, feel free to come see me and I'll answer those questions for you. Anything on accessibility. Forced action. This is a big one, right? Part of that, part of that trap, part of that forcing you down a path you don't want to take. Are you sure? So I get this modal, right? And I'm like, of course I'm sure. You sure about that? You sure about that, Todd? Yes, I'm sure. I am sure about that. I want to leave your site. And now the really, really big bad guy. Infinite scrolling. The bane of my existence as an accessibility auditor. If I cannot reach your footer because you have 1,000 miles of infinite scrolling, and I can't click that little button that takes me all the way down to the bottom, I cannot properly audit your website for accessibility issues. Period. I've had to call clients before and say, do you have a page that I could actually get to the footer? That's embarrassing. Not only for me, because I shouldn't have to ask that, but for the person I'm working for, because they're like, maybe we should fix that. There's a lot of stuff with infinite scrolling I have had a problem with from day one, but that's just me. That's my bias. And these are some of these issues. And I will have these slides, and I will put the link in the Discord later on. This is the inventor of infinite scrolling, Asa Raskin. I want to point out that last bullet point, because that's how I felt before I talked to him about infinite scrolling. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a fan. He's like, no, a lot of people aren't a fan. But we had a very productive talk about it. I was open to why he did this in the first place. And this was a quote that he had in an interview. And I want to point out one main thing with this. So he went on to say, I regret that I didn't think more about how this thing would be used. Don't a lot of tech people say that after the fact? I know as a designer, and this is the part that really I want to emphasize, I know as a designer that by taking away the stopping cue, I can make you do what I want you to do. So taking away that stopping cue, not just with infinite scrolling, but other deceptive patterns, they have you in the palm of their hands. He went on to say, I contributed to this and I have been complicit. And he ended with, we are losing control of the tools we made, which is absolutely true. I'm going to play a game within a game. Number one answer, please, pagination, come on. You can make pagination accessible, right? Something else. If anybody can guess number 4, I'll give you a sticker. Come see me. Come think about it. Come see me after the talk. So we have defeated the evil 5-headed dragon. We know what we're up against, right? The heroes have saved the day. We know how to spot these patterns. What now? Well, there's multiple patterns that you have to watch out for. Patterns that pair well with other patterns. Should I have the chicken or the fish with the red wine or the white wine? Kind of deal, right? Oops. Double negatives, wording, that's things you have to watch out for these days, right? Added fees. Service fees. Service for what? The guy that picked up the box and carried it 5 feet over to the truck? That service fee? So my calls to action for you would be, if you see these in your everyday work, you could spot these things and try to mitigate it or get rid of it altogether. The last bullet point. Test with disabled users, please. I worked for a company and I asked them, can we get some disabled users to do some user testing? We don't have the money for that. But then the CEO got a 43% raise the following year. Uncover cognitive load. Cognitive load is a huge thing with these deceptive patterns as well. And then this. Consider these patterns when doing your work. You probably don't do a lot of work where you're like, how can I get some money off this person today? But if you see these in your, how can I not do this at my company? How can I enact change? Bring it from an accessibility standpoint. Always be cautious, protect yourself and others from these practices and these patterns. Again, speak up from an accessibility first approach and use the financial model. The disabled community has a worldwide disposable income of $1 trillion, last numbers I looked at. $1 trillion. Now, if your company doesn't want a piece of that pie, okay. The disabled community is always willing to spend money. And if word gets out your stuff is not accessible, I've seen some pretty heated debates. And then empathy and understanding. Now I have a little ask to make, and I went and I ran this by Richard and Kayla, because this is something near and dear to me. My lovely partner of, God, I hope I get this right, 3 years. I know she's watching. 3 years? 4 years? She is faced with, all I'll say is this, United Healthcare is her provider. And they have denied her at every corner. If you can share this, and I have the link after this slide, please, please, I would be grateful eternally if you would share this link. Even more so if you donated as much as you can. But we are trying to get it to where we have gotten it to the point where she can see her doctor again, but they still deny her and they still send her bills. there's the link if you want to take a snapshot of that. You can, I will have the slides up, the link to the slides in a minute. I will go to the ends of the earth until this goal is met. I've been I know there was, I think Calypso, your talk had the unfollowed thing, right? Yeah. I have been unfollowed relentlessly, and you know what? I'm like, keep on. Bye now. So with that, thank you very much.